Perfect. Hi, everybody. It's Dawn coming to you with another episode of Out of the Spiritual Closet with Dawn and the Angels in Spirit. And as you could tell, if you could see my background, I am still at Podapolooza and we are blind dating and making friends and connections. And I have been blessed with Glenda Lane coming to our podcast. So we're going to talk to Glenda a little bit, find out about who she is, what she does, and some of her messages to share with our audience. And anyone that's been listening to the podcast knows that it's all about being your most authentic self and living your true dream life. And these people that we're interviewing and speaking with, they typically have gone down the dark holes themselves. And so, like me, like Glenda here, I see her nodding on that one. And so we've learned a couple things, and we don't want others to struggle like we have. And so that's what we're here to talk about: how we can help you to live your best life with some of the things that we've learned and struggled through. So don't struggle. So without further ado, my wonderful guest co-host here today is Glenda Lane, and she is a physical therapist, a soul guide, and an energetics coach. And she's got a world of skills to tell us about. And today we're going to focus a little bit on bringing the two together. But before we do that, I will turn the microphone over to Glenda and just let her say hello and any opening comments that you'd like to make. So welcome.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me, Dawn. It's just a pleasure to be here and be with all the listeners and have this opportunity to connect and share.
Yes, we're having fun today at a
Yeah.
fast pace. so
Yeah.
so Glenda, just tell us a little bit about yourself, because I'm sure, like many of us, you didn't start out as a soul guide or energetics coach. So
No.
can you talk a little
No.
bit about who you are and how you got to be this new empowered version of yourself?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I did not start out very much so. I was not someone who saw spirits as a child, was even in connection. I didn't have a spiritual or religious upbringing. I'm not aware of sort of any of my superpowers at that time. Um, I I was very much a serial achiever, straight A student, pushing and striving and putting so much pressure on myself to excel,
Mhm.
which I now know was trying to prove my worth,
Yes.
because I didn't feel like I was enough. And and that led to a whole bevy of experiences for me, specifically with my body. So I did do my training in physical therapy at university, and it's interesting. That's where most of my I guess signs started to show up in my body. So I was diagnosed with hormone imbalance. I had to have knee surgery. I had mono. I injured a disc in my lower back. I
The
then
whole
had
slew of it, right?
right,
Yeah.
yeah. And then I had digestive issues, chronic neck and back pain. And then later in my 30s, I had the first of 6 melanomas now
Mhm.
that I've had. And I've had 3 miscarriages, I've had burnout. So my body was speaking to me, and I wasn't aware. Was totally oblivious, totally not in tune. I was very disconnected from my body. I was like a head walking around on a stick. Like I was just all about logic and mentalizing everything and got to get it right and the pressure on myself, like just all,
Absolutely.
right?
And as you're talking, that's the one thing that I just want to keep reinforcing today and through these podcasts is the body speaks to us.
Totally.
I am a cancer survivor. I am an I was an overachiever, type
Hmm.
A, straight A student, but really a B student that just stayed up all night studying to be an A, that kind of thing. And so I
Right.
relate to everything she's saying. I suppressed it all and my body kept signaling too. And I
Yeah,
ended up with cancer. And obviously, because I didn't listen to my body. So I don't
that's right.
cancer, and 'cause you've experienced that and other chronic health issues.
Hmm.
My first cancer I received was a low grade, so you just live with it like a
Mm,
mono,
right.
something of that. So I also understand the living with illness part. And that was the first time our bodies are talking to us. Oh, you still don't want to listen? We're going to give you
Yeah.
more and more.
Yeah.
So, what was the defining point for you where you said, this is crazy? I've got this knowledge in my head. I know about the body. I'm a physical therapist, but yet my body is quitting on me.
Right.
Right? So when did that connection happen, and what was it for you?
Honestly, the big catalyst that really shifted things for me, when I was about 33 years old, my mom was diagnosed with terminal pancreatic cancer.
I'm sorry.
And so thank you. And she passed within 3 months of that diagnosis. And that was really a big turning point for me. That was like a big bomb had gone off in my life.
Yeah.
Um, she was my best friend, and it was just the first time that I had ever experienced grief of,
Grief
and
is a huge one.
huge.
Grief, guilt, and shame to me are the
Yes.
big three. And
Yeah.
for me, I had a similar, not even close to the same, but my son's father passed away, and we had been
Mm,
divorced for 30 years. But
yeah.
yet, the grief
Yeah.
really was huge. So yeah, please
Yeah.
go on. I'm sorry. I love
Yeah.
the when I can point out the similarities, because it's not
Hmm.
unique. We all,
No.
for anyone that's ended up with a chronic illness, with an illness, with a life that's out of line, a lot
Yeah.
of these things will resonate for you.
Yeah. And I like to say, I mean, we talk about how grief can break your heart. And for me, it broke my heart open.
Hmm.
So
It's
it,
beautiful. Yeah,
right?
right. It
It
does.
just, yeah. And it really set me on this path of, and I think my mom had so much to do with this. I think she was orchestrating it all,
Oh, I got goosebumps on that one. Sure
right?
did. She's like, I couldn't get
Because
you to listen when I was there, but now
right.
I'm going to
Well, it's
plant
so
these
funny
ideas.
because she was, even as a kid, she would constantly try to, she's like, oh, just stay home from school today. Just hang out with me in the backyard. It's a beautiful day, right? And I'm like, oh no, I have a test. I have to be at, like just, so she was always, in that mode of play and like just, she could see how much pressure I was putting on myself. And so anyway, I had gone home to look after my mom, and when I came back to I live in Edmonton, Alberta, in Canada, and when I came back, it seems random, it's never random, but I had opened this magazine and there was a workshop, a half-day
Oh,
workshop on
wow.
how to bend spoons with energy.
Know
And
all about that one. Yeah,
I was like,
quantums.
what? That sounds really cool. But this was so out of the norm for me. I mean, up until this
Mhm.
point, very science minded, tunnel vision, show me the proof, black and white, like was not open to this at all. But for some reason, this piqued my interest. I went to it. It was being taught by an intuitive psychic. And long story short, I ended up training with her for 2 years. I learned how to um, connect. And I know that the reason I wanted to do that was because I wanted to still feel in connection with my mom. I mean, I knew that was the reason, but it was a very personal thing. I never thought I'd be doing this work now, like
Right.
never.
And I think that's a theme that you hear from a lot of healers,
Yeah,
that energy workers and things like that, we have all struggled. And a lot
yeah,
of times this is just a survival thing. I
yeah.
was the same way. I played with the angels. I have been exposed to religion and spirituality
Mm,
my whole life. However, I'm an Akashic Records master healer now. I only did that for me. I
yeah,
was never going to share it. I wanted to heal me and those relationships, right? Because I
yeah.
didn't have anywhere to put that grief and that guilt. And those
I
are
think
heavy.
I honestly think it's good that it starts with us, right? Because I think, even when I was learning, so this also led to me taking energy schools, mystery schools,
Right.
magic school, learning how to go direct with consciousness. I've done a ton of different year-long programs. And even in the energy school, the first 6 months of it was about you and it was for you before you ever did any sort of readings on anybody,
And
right?
and I don't mean to keep interrupting. I'm just having so
No, it's
much
all
fun
good.
with you. But that is one of the things. If you're getting energy work from somebody, you want a evolved whole
Yeah.
healer because they can only take you, and that's not to say that they're bad, but if they haven't worked through their own shadows, through their own wounds, their hurts, their disappointments in life,
Hmm.
then what they're sharing with you is still a distorted message.
It is. Yeah, very much the filters. Like how dirty is the filter is kind of how I
Ooh,
like
that's
to say,
nice. I
right?
like that
How
one. Yeah.
dirty or clean is the filter based on the work that you've done on yourself. And so,
You got to
um,
constantly clean that filter, I find out.
yeah, so that really just like I said from the energy workshop to then leading me down this path and what I have come to know through all of this and my mom passed away 20 years ago, so I've been on this journey for a number of years now, is to really see that the body is just the messenger of your soul, and that your body is truly your best friend. And I went from thinking like not happy with my body, believing my body was letting me down, not wanting to be obviously in my body. I was always up in my head, but um to really seeing like, wow, my body's giving me constant feedback as to whether I'm in alignment or not, and it really is about learning to speak the language of the body, which is energy, and
Mhm.
really tuning into energies such as emotions, such as physical sensation, and your intuition, of course, right? So for me, it really has been a journey out of my head and into my body, and accessing all the gifts that are there, such as the heart opening that I've had. I mean, I think of how much my heart has opened, and we were talking about what do we call ourselves. Well, one of the names that I call myself, I know I'm a love activator. I know that I now speak light language. I know that absolutely activates love codes in people as well as myself, because
So
I feel, what I feel.
I just want to
So
jump in. Light language. I love light language. It is it's whole paragraphs of information in sounds, because
yes.
vibration is what our bodies feel. The
Hmm.
energy is what our bodies feel. And there are not any real known words to translate it into.
Right.
And I ask everybody, if either one of us breaks out into light language, don't judge, just
Yeah.
feel.
Feel
It's
exactly.
very odd to hear it at first, and is it well seasoned as I was too over, my whole lifetime of being around this stuff. I still cringed a little bit at light language. But
Oh yeah.
light language was talking in tongues or something you shouldn't do from my religious background.
Sure.
But as I released some of those wounds and those limiting beliefs, I started to understand. It was
Yeah.
liberating. It's so
Oh
beautiful and juicy. And
yeah.
your soul knows those things your mind can't accept. How about that?
That's right. Yeah. And it really is, to me, it really is a felt experience and meant to bypass the mind. I think the minute you try to go into trying to figure it out or judging it, then you're literally taking yourself out of the experience and not receiving, to the degree that you could. And so for me, it literally feels like a love bomb goes off inside of
Yes,
me. I
yes.
mean, I just, and it was from the very beginning. Even though the first time it came through, I was sitting in a healing circle, the whole bunch of people I didn't know,
Mhm.
and this came through, and I was like, my dialogue in the back, what is this? Like, what is going on?
Right, right.
But I just knew that it was like, you don't need to know what it is. You don't, just like, it's a felt thing and it's serving, which is why it's coming through. And I was so in my heart at the time that it happened. I was feeling like my filter was feeling pretty clear.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just something that um, I've come to know. And so from being this person who was so hard on herself, so like put so much pressure on myself, drove myself to succeed, beat myself up when I didn't,
Mhm.
to go from that to now being, you know, a love activator is, is like night and day. And
Beautiful.
I would choose where I'm at now over anything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the whole, coming into the body.
Yeah.
And so one of the messages that I've been hearing with the other people I talked and with you and myself too is finding ways to, or understanding that we have to go internal.
Yeah.
Get out of our heads, stop looking to society and outward. Yes, you still have to follow the rules of society and be a good person
Sure.
and follow the laws per se to a certain extent. But other than that, stop the judgment and stop looking externally, go
Yeah.
internally. And that's what it sounds like you did. You went
Yeah.
from your head to your heart.
Head to my heart and to my intuition, and really partnering. So it's not like we say goodbye to the mind. Our mind is a big beautiful thing. It's now let's partner. And for me, one of the talks that I give is pleasure over pressure. Well, pressure happens up in your head, pleasure happens in your body. And so
Oh,
when we're in this pressure filled way of living up in our heads, there's not a lot of joy. There's usually fear. Fear is what is motivating that. And it's just not a lot of pleasure. It's not being putting that much pressure and driving myself in the way that I did, was not enjoyable.
right,
so
right.
so really, when we think of what is pleasurable, it's well, the five senses of the body, first of all. It's like what we see, we can see a beautiful sunset, we can hear beautiful music, we can feel the touch of beautiful fabric, something really soft. We can taste amazing food, we can smell, right? Beautiful essential oils. I mean, all those things are through our senses. And when we're up in our heads the way that I wasn't even present in the present moment. So I was not even present to what I'm seeing, feeling, tasting, hearing, all those
Yeah.
things. And so it really coming into the body also, what it does is it brings you into the present moment.
Yes, I love
It
that.
brings you to being present in your body and present to your presence, present to your divinity. So to me, that is the definition of presence, is all those three things together. It's not just being about in the moment. It's not just being in your body. It's not just
Mhm.
being present to your divinity. It's everything, because we are whole beings. And so to me, whole being living, you can't separate anything out. Everything is interconnected. And so it is about embracing our bodies and journeying from our heads into our bodies, from thinking to feeling, and then let's have those two things come together.
Well, yeah, and even when you're talking about it, it's very evident to me, having been through all the bad sides of it, is that when we don't bring all three things together, that's when we have physical disease,
Yeah.
mental illness, mental unrest,
Yeah.
and all those things. But you really need mind, body, and soul
Yeah.
together, right? They're all
Yes.
important. Each of them
Yeah.
has a job. But as Glenda said, we just want to clean the filter,
Right.
clean all those filters so that they can work together like the well-oiled machine. Our bodies are designed to be well-oiled machines,
They
and we
are.
just have to give it the right juice. So
That's
I
right.
love that. And then the
Yeah.
other thing you said is so near and dear to my heart too, is the being present.
Hmm.
Because
That's
I
where the magic is.
Exactly. You are the present in the present.
Yeah.
When we're in the past, that's already happened. We can't change that. Those are old emotions, energies, and stories. In the future hasn't happened yet. That's anticipation and a bunch of other things. But
Or
what we
worry.
worry for a lot of people,
Right.
right? Not
Yeah.
always good. Right, right.
Hmm.
But when you stop and you center and you're present, like Glenda said, listen to the sounds,
Yeah.
smelling, hearing, or seeing, all of the senses together. It is a glorious thing to be alive
It
and to have
is.
all those senses, right? So
It is.
enjoy
It's a
them.
huge gift.
It is a
Absolutely.
huge gift. So now
Yeah.
you do work with clients and
Yeah.
you do a lot of energy work with your clients. You want to talk a little
Yes.
bit about what you do for your clients, with your clients?
Yeah. So with my soul guidance clients, I really do use the body as the entry point into cleaning the filter, so to speak. So, as an example, for me, the whole reason that I was putting so much pressure on myself to achieve was because of this belief that I wasn't enough. and that kind of striving, pushing, it was a protective pattern. It was how I thought I needed to be in order to stay safe and loved. And so really it's about using the body as the entry point. Emotions are an entry point into deeper truths that are waiting for us to discover about ourselves instead of the lies we've been believing. So is physical sensation and pain in the body. And so I use that, first of all, to locate where it is, to then be and feel fully. We're not taught how to do that. In fact, we're dissuaded from feeling our feelings, right? But they're the catalyst. They're the thing. They're the doorway we get to walk through by feeling them to get to the love and the freedom and the truth on the other side. So I do a lot of teaching of how to do that. And when you allow yourself to fully feel, those emotions will run through you in a couple of minutes. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, it
And
doesn't have to
so,
be a
right?
long, arduous
No,
process.
no, it
Healing
isn't.
can
And
happen instantaneously.
absolutely. And then, so that's one thing, is getting in touch with our bodies and feeling and allowing, I mean, emotions want to move, their energy's in motion, but by suppressing them, we stagnate them. So by letting them move and then coming to this place of curiosity of, okay, what has me feeling this way? What am I believing? Is this also linked? It could be linked to an unresolved hurt from the past. So it could be linked to that too. I really guide people, I'm just guided as to where
Yep,
to go.
yep.
And then to really get to that belief about ourselves that we're believing that just isn't true, either about ourselves or about life itself, and really showing that that's not the truth. And here's what the actual truth is. And so this is paradigm shifting. This is now you see life differently. You see life through a different lens from this new belief. And then from there, you get to do whatever presents instead of being up in your head and believing all these things about you. So as an example, if you feel you're not enough, that's going to have you feel a certain way, which is then going to have you take certain actions. But if you know you're worthy beyond measure the day you were born, and you don't have to earn it or prove it, how do you feel when you feel that, when you know that about yourself, and what do you then do? So it shifts everything. And of course I bring any light language activations that want to come through to assist the process. I think of light language as an amplifier of whatever energies are moving in that moment. And then it's about embodiment. It's like, okay, how do we live this? How do we live from this new perspective? And so it's just one of the things,
Yeah,
one
no,
of the
I know.
many things I do.
Right.
But
It's
and I call
always
that
hard.
yeah, and I call that emotional alchemy. And so it really is discovering just more love and expansion on the other side of these really uncomfortable emotions and sensations in our body.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to get a hold of you, we will have the links to get in touch with Glenda down below in the podcast. And what else?
Yeah, I have a free gift for everybody
There we
if
go.
they
Yeah,
would
I was like,
like.
I know there's something else. My brain's going a little dry. So
Yeah.
tell us about your free gift if they would like.
Yeah, so my free gift is called 7 Steps to Freedom from Pressure. And these are all things that I've implemented in my life that have just made the world of difference. And so this would be for people who are typically high achieving women for the most part, but put pressure on yourself, period. And so that is something that you can have and get started with. And yeah, I'm really
Well,
really
perfect.
pleased to be able to offer that. So that the
Yeah.
links, yeah, we'll have the links for that, and how to get in touch with me, and I'd be happy to chat with you. So
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. So if you're interested in learning more about Glenda or getting in touch with her or taking advantage of this free gift, I would 100%. I will be. That's why I do this podcast. I get to learn all this more, even more stuff. It'll all be in there. And yeah, so I thank you so much. I could talk to you for about 3
I
hours,
know. Thank you. I
but we are on a
appreciate it.
schedule today. So I
Yes.
am going to end our session. And thank you so much for your time and energy. And if you're looking forward to working with Glenda, reach out to her. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye.